Yeah, easy English vibe. Yeah, easy English vibe.
Before we begin, do me a favor. If you're someone trying to improve your English, especially the kind of English that helps you speak with confidence and calm, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and hit that like button. It helps more people find this, and I think you're going to want to hear this one. So, let's talk about disagreement. Not the loud, angry kind you see on cable news. Not the kind you get into online at 2 in the morning. I'm talking about the everyday disagreements with coworkers, with friends, with strangers, sometimes even with yourself. And the thing is, in English, the way you disagree is just as important as the point you're trying to make. In fact, sometimes how you say something decides whether anybody listens to what you say at all. Let me be clear. Disagreement is not a bad thing. Democracy runs on disagreement. Progress depends on people who see the world differently. The problem isn't disagreement. The problem is when we forget that the person we're talking to is a human being. So the question is, how do you disagree without crossing that line? How do you express your view without dismissing theirs? How do you sound firm but not hostile? Respectful but not weak? Well, in English, diplomacy begins with tone. When I was in the Oval Office, even in the Senate, long before that, I learned that tone can shape an entire conversation before you finish your first sentence. If you come in hot, people shut down. If you come in calm, even people who disagree with you will stay at the table a little longer. So here's something simple you can practice. Start with a phrase that recognizes the other person's perspective before offering your own. You don't say, "That's wrong." You say, "I see where you're coming from." You don't say, "You don't understand." You say, "Let me offer another angle." It's not weakness. It's strategy. People open up when they feel respected. And look, sometimes you'll be in a situation where someone is absolutely convinced they're right. They won't budge. They won't compromise. And maybe they're saying things that you know for a fact aren't true. That's where presidential language becomes useful, because you don't escalate. You steady the conversation. Instead of, "That makes no sense," you say, "I see it differently and here's why." Instead of, "You're missing the point," you say, "Let me try to explain this another way." Instead of, "You're wrong," you say, "I'm not sure I agree with that conclusion." See, English gives you these little verbal cushions, not to soften the truth, but to keep the discussion alive long enough for the truth to matter. Now, let me tell you something that may surprise you. Some of the toughest disagreements I ever had weren't with foreign leaders or political opponents. They were with people on my own team. People who cared just as much as I did, but had a completely different view of how to get things done. In those moments, the most important thing you can do is listen. Not wait for your turn to talk, not collect ammunition for your next argument, just listen. When you listen, really listen, you understand the values behind the opinion. And once you understand someone's values, it becomes a whole lot easier to speak to them with respect, even when you disagree. That's the heart of diplomacy. Not winning the argument, but lifting the conversation. And if you're learning English, let me say this: mastering diplomatic disagreement will change everything. Your interviews improve, your relationships improve, your confidence improves, because suddenly you're not fighting to be heard. You're guiding the discussion with control and purpose. And one last point. Disagreement doesn't have to end with a winner and a loser. Sometimes the most presidential thing you can say is, "Let's keep talking," or, "We may not solve this today, but I appreciate the conversation," because respect, even in disagreement, is what makes English powerful. Now, if you want more lessons like this, if you want to learn how to speak English with clarity, confidence, maybe even a little presidential composure, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. It helps this community grow, and I think the world benefits when more people learn how to disagree without being disagreeable. Thanks for listening.